Welcome to Onslow County Today. I'm your host, Lisa Whitman-Grice, and you can see this is a very different environment for us. We are here at the Onslow County Vehicle Maintenance Garage, where we are surrounded by a lot of talent and some state-of-the-art equipment. On this edition of Onslow County Today, we're going to be speaking with the director, Tony Pageant, about this really cool facility. We'll also talk with his shop foreman, Mr. Danny Dean, with some tips for winter car care just for you. We'll visit with our friends from the Onslow County Public Library, Kayla Shivers, about a wonderful program for Black History Month, all about African American heritage in our area. We'll visit with Kayla Thomas from Onslow County Cooperative Extension. We'll talk with Holly Lewis from Onslow County Solid Waste about recycling and the do's and don'ts of the landfill. And finally, we'll talk with our friend, Mr. Norman Bryson, about winter preparedness. As we close out the show, we're going to have a heart-to-heart talk with Whitney Jezik from the Onslow County Health Department. As always, we are so glad that you are here for Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Mr. Tony Pageant. Mr. Pageant, who is the Director of Vehicle Maintenance here. But Tony, anybody who knows Onslow County knows you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are so glad that you have invited us to be here. This is not a usual space for us to do Onslow County Today.
That's correct.
But we wanted to kind of do a little behind the scenes focus. And so we wanted to talk with you about Onslow County Vehicle Maintenance, because you keep us on the road so that we can serve the citizens. So the first thing I'd love for you to talk about is this building where we're at today, because this is some space.
Yes, ma'am. The commissioners 5 years ago seen fit to build us a nice facility. It's state of the art. We have 5-ton jack back there. We have jacks, our lifts to pick up fire trucks, as well as our off-road trucks for the landfill. And it's a nice facility, and we keep it that way.
You know, people think, oh, a garage, what's supposed to be greasy and muddy?
Oh, no.
And dirt. This is the cleanest department. It is every time I come over here.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. We take pride in that. I'm a firm believer cleanliness is next to godliness, and that follows very close by professionalism. Plus, I feel like, you know, I have a good staff, I have good employees, and we need to keep our place clean. That's what we should do, and that makes us more professional, in my opinion.
Well, you know, and on top of that, I mean, the safety component having to be, this is also, like you said, 5 tons and huge equipment and tools, and if this is not a clean space, then this becomes an unsafe space.
Yes, very unsafe, and what we work on is heavy, so safety is a big issue for us, and keeping everything clean keeps slip, trips, and falls.
Oh, yes, sir.
And we need to do that.
Well, the other thing is, as I drove in this morning, we tend to think of county vehicles or county trucks, and you see the emblem on the side, but it's not just the plain, you know, sort of F10 kind of trucks or the little sedans that you see county employees drive. There was every type of vehicle one could imagine, from regular sedans to fire trucks.
Yes, ma'am. We service, you know, fire trucks, we service ambulances, sheriff cars, our fleet, you know, with equipment and everything, a little over 400 pieces of equipment and vehicles here.
Wow.
And
400, I didn't
yes.
realize that.
And, you know, we've been very fortunate in having a good staff. We do it with really 5 technicians at this time. So We're busy all the time.
All the time. So as we kind of glance back, just looking around, there's a sheriff's vehicle, there's another sheriff's vehicle, there's an ambulance, as you say.
A backhoe.
A backhoe.
For the parks, yes.
I mean, there's a little bit of everything. And you all do it, as you said, with 5 technicians.
Yes.
Talk about the skill set and talent of those people.
Well, I have some that is very good in automotive. I have some that is very good in heavy equipment. We cross-train here a lot, and we tag team a lot to make sure everybody learns each other's skill. And I have a staff now that is well qualified and very professional at what they do. And we're not a parts changer here. We do diagnostics. We make sure that when we put a part on, because it costs your department or any other department, y'all help contribute to our budget, and I want to make sure we're spending your money wisely.
Well, you know, one, you spend it on training, which is so important,
Yes.
because the price of that is, you know, invaluable, bringing that new talent. The other thing is when we see these enormous toolboxes, and there's something really special about these toolboxes and the connection to the technicians
Yes.
who use them.
Yeah, just to let the public know, the county don't buy tools. We don't buy toolboxes. Each technician furnishes their own. And as you can see by what they have, that makes them show their professionalism even more because they care about it. There's tools here to do everything that could be imagined on a vehicle or a piece of heavy equipment.
Well, and you know, there's something about an artisan and
yes.
an engineer, a mechanic who
Yes.
can use it. There's a connection between them and their tools.
Yes, a big connection. And trust me, they might let you borrow a tool from them, but most of the time they're walking with you because they're expensive.
They want to say, I'm going to need you to bring that back.
Yes.
Now, the other thing we want to talk about is you also have behind the scenes staff that keep this running while you keep our vehicles running and keep us on the road so that we can serve the public. You also have a team of folks who make sure that these folks have what they need.
Yes, I do. We're all a team here, and it's big. I'm big on teamwork, and I have a good team, and you know, from our parks person, our secretaries, I mean, they all play a part. And you know, our parts room, we have parts here that we use. We don't overstock because we can get them ready available, but someone has to make sure that's right.
Yes, sir.
And that's why we try to make sure we do our diagnostics, that we put the right part on for the right job.
Well, we appreciate everything. We're going to actually have one of your technicians join us and talk about how he keeps these vehicles on the road, but how we can do the same thing at home.
Yes, and that's my shop foreman, Danny Dean, very good at his job, and we QC everything here. And believe me, these guys get mad at him. A light, they can miss a light on an ambulance, just a upper light. Oh, nope, can't go until it's fixed.
He's going to see it.
He's going to see it. He does a good job.
Well, we are so grateful to you, Mr. Tony, for having us here today. And again, thank you for keeping us on the road and keeping us safe. And we're going to talk with Danny about what we need to do at home.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for coming.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and now we are joined by Danny Dean, who is the shop foreman of this incredible facility. Danny, thanks for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
You know, a few months ago, I had the chance to see you talk with some high school students about Adulting 101.
Yes, ma'am.
Which includes basic car maintenance. You know, it's one thing to be able to be trusted with a driver's license and drive a vehicle. It's another to know how to just take care of it. And so you were giving them some good, common sense advice about their vehicle. And we wanted to do the same with you today, especially as we're in the winter season, making sure that our vehicles are in good, safe repair.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I saw those news reports on folks in Virginia who were stuck in their cars for hours. And we don't want to be that person. We want to make sure that we're as safe as we can be, because some of those folks were in dire straits. So the first thing I want to ask you, Danny, is if I'm getting ready to drive out this winter, what do I need to check on my car?
You need to have a basic kit, you know, a blanket, some hand warmers, bottles of water, an emergency roadside kit, you know, with your emergency triangles, stuff to keep you safe if you were to break down on the highway or be stuck on the highway.
Right.
That way it notifies other drivers that you're there.
You know, that sometimes is the most dangerous thing, just pulling off the side of the road. You know, that warning light goes on, or you know that your tire has gone out. And sometimes that is just the scariest thought, is that I have to pull off here on the highway. So, like you say, those reflective triangles, anything like that, we need to have.
Yes.
What about the actual condition? What should I be right now? The day we're taping this, we're in the middle of a winter storm warning. If I go out to my vehicle, what do I want to check?
You want to check all your fluids, make sure your fluids are full, one. Antifreeze is a big thing at this present time with a winter storm approaching. I mean, you want to make sure your antifreeze is, you know, good so it won't freeze. You don't want your engine to freeze and then it's not going to run.
Right.
So you want to be able to check it, and there's several ways you can check it. Your local shops can check it for you. Walmart sells equipment to be able to check those items, to check, see if it, you know, what the freeze level is on it. And washer fluid, a lot of people just put water in their washer fluid. Water freezes. So we want to put an approved washer fluid in it. Most of your washer fluids are good to 20 below zero.
Okay. I don't want to be in 20 below zero.
Me either.
But, okay, I want to make sure that my washer fluid's ready for it.
Anything that if it's made out of water, it can possibly freeze.
Sure,
so.
sure. What about things like, so, you know, we don't have snow tires here in eastern North Carolina, or chains. That's not something we think about. What about just our basic tires?
You want to make sure your tires will pass North Carolina state inspection, and they're in good shape. The air pressure's up on them. You don't want to have a overinflated or underinflated. So they'll always go off the manufacturer recommendations on the tires, on the air pressure settings.
You know, and just the tread to check, you know.
A good life hack is a penny. You know, if you could take a penny and put Lincoln's head in if you can see Lincoln's head, odds are your tires are a little bit too thin.
Okay.
So you need to have your tires, you know, checked by an authorized service center.
Okay. And the other thing is, you know, my windshield frost up overnight, or we get ice overnight. What is the best thing to be thinking about for defrosting those windows?
Not all of us have the luxury of parking in a heated garage. So,
right.
There's a couple of things that you can do. Is always leave your windshield wipers in a parked position, where they're not on. So if you come in and you park and it's been raining, just make sure you turn your windshield wipers off. That way they don't engage when you turn the ignition on. And another thing you can do is, if you don't have the luxury of parking in a heated garage, you can take a blanket or a sheet and throw over the windshield and the front glasses. That way, when you get out there, you can just peel the sheet off and you have a clear windshield.
Smart. Okay. And don't do what I have seen, which is maybe get some warm or boiling
hot water or warm water off the stove and throw it on your glass. It will break the glass.
Oh, no. We don't
if you do anything with water, use cold water. Just, either just regular tap water or a water hose, and that'll clean most of it off.
Okay.
And then, of course, it's always good to have a scraper, maybe a pair of gloves in your car so you don't get your hands cold.
Alrighty, and you mentioned we're not always parked in a warm garage. We're in our driveway. We've got to head down our driveway. It might be a little slick, and if we the best thing to do is stay home on terrible icy days, but what are some things we can do when it might be a little slick?
It's a good rule of thumb during the wintertime is to have a bag of kitty litter. Kitty litter or oil dry in the trunk of your car. That way, if you do get into a sticky situation where you're slipping and sliding, you can always take that kitty litter or oil dry and put underneath your tires, and that's going to gain you traction to get out of that sticky situation.
It's just those simple things. Mr. Tony and I were talking about being safe, and it's the same thing with our own personal vehicle.
Yes.
So for those folks who maybe aren't accustomed to driving in winter weather, what's your best advice?
Stay off the roads. Stay at home as much as you can. And if you do drive at safe, slower speeds, just because the speed limit is 45 doesn't mean you have to run 45. Okay. So you want to just your safe conditions. You want to keep yourself safe and everybody else on the road safe as well.
Well, Danny, thank you for your time today, and thank you for what you do here and keeping Onslow County vehicles on the road, keep us moving, and thanks for that great advice.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Kayla Shivers with the Onslow County Public Library. Kayla, thank you for being here.
Thank you for letting me join.
We know that at the library you all will be celebrating Black History Month, and you're doing it with a really cool series of programs that you've coordinated. But before that, Kayla, I want you to let folks know exactly what your title is and why this is so important to you to be doing these programs for our community.
Well, I am the Youth Service Program Assistant, one of many, and this program is really important to me because I really love pulling out history. One of our visions at the Onslow County Public Library is to promote culture, and so this is a great way that we're doing it. And so with it being that I'm from North Carolina, or from Onslow County rather, and I'm African American, I thought, why not lead up this program? And I'm so excited to see everyone come out and enjoy.
Well, you also, you know, Kayla, I've watched you for about the last year and a half put together a series of programs in the community that are just something near and dear to your heart as well. I mean, I've visited some of your programs and watched what you've done, and you've brought great heart to this. You've brought great heart to this, so thank you for that. And so we want to talk about this great series that you've put together for Black History Month this year. Talk about Traveling While Black in Onslow County.
So the title came from Sinatra. She's one of our librarians, actually, and she thought of the idea, why don't we do Traveling While Black, because there's a series within the North Carolina library system, and that's where the virtual VR headset show is going to come from. Okay. And so the title actually came from her, but we thought, why not stem on it and bring it to Onslow County so we can showcase some areas that we may know as something near and dear to us, but we don't know that it's a part of African American culture.
That, you know, I love that. One, the idea of bringing your team together and talking about it and really kind of thought partnering, how do we best tell the story from the perspective of the library, and then what's kind of going on statewide and really nationally. You know, I know that, and we're going to talk about the Green Book, which was a fantastic film that sort of brought to light something that not a lot of folks really had talked about. So talk about the series that you've put together and why it's important to tell that story.
Well, having the Montfort Point Marines come, it's really important to me because this area is so steeped in that military culture, and we wanted to highlight them first because they've done such great work for the country and for this area. And so having Montfort Point come out, which is like the African American branch of the military at that time, is very important to us. And he's actually one of my uncles.
Oh, so
yes, so I was excited to have him because knowing him personally and just having him able to showcase and actually honoring him by showcasing him was important to me. And then having Dr. Amy come out, she is just so amazing at what she does, and she's an excellent speaker, so I wanted to hear all about St. Julia from her. And St. Julia is very prominent in the community, both past and present, and they'll be prominent in the future because they've been doing so much with the pandemic and just assisting with food pantry and everything. I wanted to showcase that area. And then also having Miss Angela come out. And she is actually not from the Onslow County area, but from the African American Heritage Commission of North Carolina. And she is going to talk about the Green Book, which the Green Book was a way of having African Americans be safe to travel. So maybe they needed a hotel to stay in or a restaurant to go to that was safe for them to be a part of. And that Green Book is showcasing all of that. And there's different ones for different regions. But Miss Angela is going to talk about the one that was utilized in North Carolina, or ones that were utilized in North Carolina. And we'll get to learn some about Eastern North Carolina, because I don't know of any Green Books in Onslow County, but she's going to highlight that for us.
Very good. And then, of course, you're going to do the virtual tour from the African American Heritage Trail, which is near and dear to us at the museum as well. So, and the work that we did with the chamber, spotlighting these sites that were of key importance to African American history in our county. So the fact that you're doing that is fantastic. Now, these are going to be at the main branch of the public library system?
Yes.
And tell us where that is.
So that's on 58 Doris Avenue East, and that's closer to central Jacksonville. So if you've ever been to what once was Kmart's or Ollie's, you'll be in the right area. Okay,
so that Doris Avenue, Gum Branch, Henderson Drive connection there. And the dates for those programs you had, it's the 5th, the 12th, 19th, 26th, and then
27th and 28th.
All right, so you've got a long program for us. The best part is you all have a great website, great Facebook presence. So if we want to learn more about how to register or how we can attend, we can just check out your website?
Yes, just go to the main page and you'll see a Black History Month banner, and you'll be able to click that and see all of the speakers and all the events that we're having.
Fantastic. Now, I also know that you want to put in a plug for your Winter Reading Challenge, which has already kicked off, but we can jump in at any time, correct?
Exactly. So just like you can go on the main page and click on that Black History banner, you can also click on our Winter Reading Challenge banner, and it lasts until February 28th. And you'll just click that, and there's a link to Read Squared, which is our platform that we use for our winter reading, and you can win prizes for reading. So since we're about to be snowed in, may as well just start now and then read some books and win some prizes.
You know what? We don't need to go outside this winter. Just stay inside cozy, pick out your stack that you've amassed, and it's time to go through them. So Kayla, we want to remind people one more time, go to your website. Check out all of the programs, look at those banners about attending the Black History Month celebration and programs that you've put together. Don't forget Winter Reading Challenge. And the best part is, there is a branch library in every community to get that stack of books for their Winter Reading Challenge, right? Well, Kayla, it is always so good to see you, and thank you for bringing these stories to us.
No problem. Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is a new face to Onslow County Today, Holly Lewis. Holly, please share with me your department and your official title.
My department is Onslow County Solid Waste, and I'm the new Recycling Community Coordinator.
Well, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Although I understand you are not new to Onslow County.
I am not.
How long have you been with Solid Waste?
April will be 4 years.
Fantastic.
So,
Well, happy early anniversary on that
Thank
4
you.
year and your new position. So we want to talk about a couple of things. We certainly want to talk about the landfill. We want to talk about sort of your vision for the recycling program, and also some really cool new equipment that you've gotten. So the first thing is, when I drove in today to prepare for our conversation, I saw a great big blue sign, and that great big blue sign said, "Things that cannot go in the landfill." And one of those things that always jumps out when I've talked to different folks is light bulbs. Like, I shouldn't be tossing my light bulb when I change it in my trash and then it go in the landfill. So first thing we want to talk about is what can't go in the landfill.
There's actually a lot that can't go in the landfill.
Okay.
So one of the things, big item, light bulbs.
Okay.
Now you go to the scale house, you can dump your trash, but when you come back out, just let them know, hey, I have some light bulbs, and they will direct you where to slot them.
Okay.
Same thing at the convenience sites and mobile unit. They will tell you, hey, this is where you have to take them to dispose them. There's TVs. We have separate section for electronics. Oyster shells are a big one. They can't go in. And we have all these different areas that you can recycle them. But we do have these signs in play because it's not good for a landfill.
Okay. And you know, let's talk about that. You know, we think about, isn't the landfill just a hole in the ground? And it is not just a hole in the ground. You know, it's a really specialized design. Talk about why it's so important that things that aren't intended for the landfill don't go, and how that actually can create damage or problems.
It can create damage because if you think about it, it's just a hole. Yes, but if you put plastic bags in the hole, it takes almost 500 years for it to decompose. That's why we say recycle the bags. You can take them to Walmart, Lowe's Food, different establishments that will recycle them.
Okay, okay. And the newest thing, which I got a very nice email about this, is batteries.
Yes.
You know, we've got all kinds of electronic equipment and everything in batteries, and you think, I don't just throw that away?
No, do not throw it away. That's the worst thing you can do because they do start fires.
Okay.
So it's the same thing with your recycling. Don't throw them in your recycling because it can cause a fire at the recycling plant or on our hill. And that is the worst thing that can happen. So if you go to the landfill, you can tell the ladies in the scale house that you have batteries. They will tell you what to do with them. They will get disposed of properly. They will be recycled. And it's the same thing if you go to the convenience sites or the mobile units.
All right, so really the best thing to do is kind of check in. You all have a website where we can visit and say things that can go, things that can't go.
Yes.
You know, everything from white goods and where do I take my dryer once it has tumbled its last load.
Yep.
To batteries and where they need to go.
Yes, ma'am.
So you all have taken incredible steps to make sure that the landfill is, again, a very safe place for people to dispose of debris. I know you work with big contractors down to folks who were just bringing, you know, their household trash on a Saturday.
Yep.
But you got a really cool new thing to make your work even more efficient. And I know you want to talk about this cool thing because I saw it in action.
Yes.
So tell us about your new shredder.
So it is actually a VZ 950 titanium.
Okay.
So this shredder will give our landfill the longevity. It will help waste composite. We get about over 11,000 tires a month.
11,000 a month?
A month, yes.
Wow.
Ma'am. Yes, and that's a lot. And before we had a tire hauler. They would come in, haul away the tires. Well, at that point we were spending over $300,000 a year.
Right.
Well, in 2021, when we were going for a renewal, we were looking at $443,000.
Wow.
The shredder cost $816,512. So within 3 years of operation, it's paid for.
Mm-hmm.
But the really cool thing about the shredder is it will take your concrete, it will turn it into gravel, and then we can use that for Onslow County facilities.
Okay, okay.
The vegetation, it will make it into mulch. But the really cool thing is it will compact a king-size mattress. When it is done shredding it, it will fit inside a 5-gallon bucket.
That is amazing.
Yes.
So this thing that we bought to save money on used tires,
Yep.
I mean, what did you say, 11,000 tires a month
Over.
to shred the rubber of the tires can be used for all of these other
Yes.
items that really create a cost savings.
Yes, and it saves it from going into the landfill as well.
I'm just trying to imagine a king-size mattress the size of a bucket.
Yes.
That's a pretty incredible device.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
a big mattress.
That's a big mattress,
Yep.
and it just shreds it up and then it compacts it. That is amazing.
Yep.
I just, again, oftentimes when we toss something in the trash,
Yep.
we don't think about those next steps.
Yep.
We don't think about its impact on the environment. We don't think about it's got to go somewhere. Or the team of people that make sure that it goes somewhere safely.
Yes.
Because that's ultimately what this is about. Well, Holly, I'm so excited to have you as part of that education team and that effort. And thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you.
Again, we want to remind folks, where is the landfill and solid waste located?
It's at 415 Meadowview Road, Jacksonville, North Carolina.
All right. Well, thank you for your time
Thank you.
today. And we look forward to future conversations.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and joining us is a very new face to Onslow County. We have Kayla Thomas with Cooperative Extension. Kayla, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here.
Now, I did say very new. You have officially been with the county how long?
A month and a half.
Your boss. She's
Yeah.
the best. You're lucky. But she's got you on TV a month and a half in.
Yeah,
She trusts you. That's awesome.
just jumped right in.
Jump right in. That's our Peggy.
Yep.
So we are here to talk about, you have a huge spring event coming up. And even though today, when we're producing this show, it's going to be in the 20s and cold very, very soon, we're already thinking about spring, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Talk about your Discovery Garden spring event you have coming up.
So we are super excited. So at Extension, I work with the Master Gardener volunteers, and they are having their spring garden festival in April, on April 23rd from 8 to 1.
All right.
So we're going to offer plants for sale from our Discovery Gardens and also plants that the Master Gardeners have grown. And we're going to have classes and displays.
Fantastic. You have one of my favorite people coming to do a display, and that is Meg Shelton from Shelton Herb Farms. Have you had a chance to visit her farms?
No, but we're going to be visiting later this year.
She is awesome. So I'm excited for the community to get to see what she has there. And also the amount of knowledge that you all have through your Master Gardeners program has saved many a folk.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Now, in addition to your Master Gardeners, you all have your beautiful Discovery Garden, which is a fantastic place to walk, even in the wintertime when things aren't completely in bloom. It's still a really pretty place, but it doesn't stay that way on its own, Kayla. And I know that today you're here with a very special appeal.
Yes, so every Wednesday we have our garden work days from 9 to 11, and it's a pretty big amount of land that the Master Gardeners need to maintain, so we can use all the help we can get.
Okay.
So we would love for anybody in the community to come out, regardless of if you're a Master Gardener or not. Anybody, if you are a garden lover, or if you're just starting, you want to try it out, or if you're a group that needs community service, we would love to have anyone come out and help us with whatever we're doing at that time.
Well, you know, it takes that amount of work. So before things can be beautiful in the springtime, you got to do all your work now.
Right. So we're doing a lot of mulching, weeding, trimming right now.
Now, Kayla, Discovery Garden volunteers, educational program in the spring. What is it that you love about what Master Gardeners do and Cooperative Extension when it comes to gardening and sort of celebrating the beauty of the outdoors?
Well, I've been very impressed in my month and a half by how much the Master Gardeners know. And I consider myself a gardener, but I'm learning a lot from them. And I just love the aspect of sharing that information with the public so people can go out and create their own gardens, and they can take their own power into their own hands to, you know, do their own yards, make their yards beautiful. Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. You know, this is the best time of year. We can all daydream a little bit about springtime, get out our seed catalogs, start looking at what needs to be done, do that prep work. And then really, it will be spring soon, right, Kayla?
I hope so.
I hope so. Well, Kayla, again, let's remind folks about your special event, the date and the location.
So the Spring Garden Festival is April 23rd from 8 to 1 at Onslow County Center, which is right by the Farmers Market.
Okay.
And that's at 4024 Richlands Highway.
Fantastic. Well, Kayla, welcome to Onslow County Cooperative Extension and Onslow County Government. And we look forward to visiting with you more in the future and talking about the work that you do.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is my buddy, Norman Bryson. Norman, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lisa.
I say that because you are my buddy, Norman. You are who I look to when I need advice about what to do, whether the wind is blowing, the rain is falling, or the ice is coming.
Absolutely. I think, Lisa, we're now somewhere around 20 years of doing our interviews on weather, disasters and weather, and trying to make sure that we get people prepared for when they come.
Absolutely. And we always talk about all hazards, and then we kind of do some focus.
So when you're around the home, some of the things that you need to first think about protecting is your pipes around the house.
Right.
Making sure that you have covers over your faucets, making sure that you have covers over your pipes underneath the house. I know a lot of houses today are actually being built on slab foundations, which is concrete, so that's helping to cover those. But if you're built on a raised foundation and you have a crawl space, you also have to make sure that you protect those pipes underneath the house. The other big thing is to talk about your heating products that you use within the house. And that's where some things can get very dangerous. And you know, one of the things we have in emergency services is our county fire marshal's office, which we do fire investigations. And sometimes, especially in the wintertime, some of our direct calls we have for those house fires is the improper use of heaters inside the home.
Okay.
Now, first and foremost, if you have the traditional HVAC system inside the home, make sure that you are changing your filters out on a regular basis. Make sure you have a yearly service contract, someone coming out, making sure it is serviced and operational and ready to go. Once you move away from the normal HVAC system in the home, then you start talking about space heaters, and you got different types. Some of these can be electric, some of these can be fuel-based. Any of these type heaters that you have that are considered space heaters, make sure that you don't have anything within 36 inches around the heater, because anything that's too close could become combustible.
Okay.
We have seen time and time again that kids will even get blankets over the top of the heater trying to kind of corral the heat to themselves, and that's a combustible that should not be in and around the heater. If we go back to 16, 17, 18, early 1900s, candles used for lighting.
Right.
Candles today, people have more of those in the house because it's about the scent and the aroma coming off
Decoration.
of them. It's decoration. But again, they could be used for lighting when the power goes out. However, most people do not realize if you held a actual thermocoupler to the end of the wick of a candle, that the temperature can get up to around 1,500 degrees. And people will not think it could get that hot with just that little bit of flame, but it can. So that is a very intense amount of heat, and if the wick of the candle breaks off, or if the candle itself, as it starts to melt, leans one way or another, can cause heating. If it's in a glass jar, it can heat up the glass jar. We have seen these glass jars actually get hot enough they would melt down into TVs or catch walls on fire. So candles is something that you have to be very careful with,
Yes,
making sure that you're using them in the appropriate way. Again, keeping any combustible materials away from them and around the area where they're at.
I bought that generator just in case. What do I need to do if I'm trying to crank up a generator or keep my house powered in some fashion?
Well, one of the first things when you have the generator is be careful about having it wired back into the home. So if you're going to have it wired back in the home, have a licensed electrician to do that, because if you're just going to turn it on and plug it into your outlet and let it backfeed into the house, you're also backfeeding down the electrical lines, and when it gets to the transformer will actually step that power up going down the line, and you can have people working on the transmission lines that it actually could injure because there is charged lines when they're thinking there's not.
Okay.
So that's one of the first things you have to be careful of. Some people will crank the generator, they will plug it into an electrical outlet and trying to backfeed the electrical lines, and that's one of the most dangerous things because you're now harming the people who are out there trying to put the electrical lines back on. So you should have a transfer switch or a box in place that doesn't allow for that electricity to leave outside the home and flow back up the electrical lines themselves.
Okay.
So, but the other things is, if you have one of the standard ones and you're just trying to keep some heat going, keep your refrigerator going, don't crank the generator inside your home. Again, don't fuel the generator inside your home. One of the other problems that we run into in times of winter is people using products, again, not the way they were initially designed. We have seen people use charcoal grills trying to heat their home, inside the home, producing the carbon monoxide that you were talking about just a few minutes ago. This generator inside the home would be doing the same thing, and you could actually bring carbon monoxide poisoning back to people that were inside the home. We've actually seen that happen in places before, people trying to get heat, people trying to warm up food and using items inappropriately, and actually, again, use carbon monoxide poisoning people in the house.
Wow.
But as far as the use of the generator, make sure it is outside. Make sure you're not filling it up while it's running. Make sure you know how to use it appropriately. Make sure it's serviced on a regular basis. And, you know, some of the biggest things with the generator is don't allow children around it to be playing with it.
Very good. Now, the last thing we want to think about, and you know, we all have seen this sort of meme or joke about how we all run to the grocery store and buy milk and bread in times of inclement weather, whether it's a hurricane or it's an ice storm. But really talk about the need to have those non-perishable food items. Milk and bread are one thing, but really it's about having those things that are on the ready.
That's right. And the thing of it is you mentioned it, non-perishable. You need items that are going to be able to sustain your family, that are not going to spoil, that may not necessarily require heating to go along with it, to be able to consume it or to eat it. Or if you don't have a way of refrigerating when the power goes out, and then you have no way, it's going to spoil anyway.
Right.
And you know, that doesn't just, we talk about all hazards, that's not just in a winter event, hurricane seasons, tornadoes, anything like that, that falls into place by having non-perishable goods that will not spoil, that will be able to last for days, if not months, and then you'd be able to open up and eat them from there. So, you know, the bread's one of those, it's a really, really good staple up front, but bread will also perish over time.
Right.
Milk is the same way. Canned goods, things that are vacuum sealed in packaging bags are great to have around the house. Make sure you're checking your dates. Don't keep it for years.
Right.
Make sure you're rotating your stock on a regular basis, but making sure you have good food and stuff. But the other thing is, the big one is the water. Make sure you have water on hand, at least a gallon per person per day in the home. And we recommend having enough to go up to 7 days if you're building yourself a all hazard preparation kit.
Very good. Now, last but not least, when we're dealing with winter weather, we're thinking about safety around the home. So if there was ice buildup on your sidewalks or on your steps, you know, anything like that, what do you know, we don't always have a snow shovel at hand to clear the weather. It's just not something we typically have in our garages. So what do you recommend we do to just keep pathways clear and safe as well?
So there's a couple of different things that you can do. One, you can put out rock salt out there ahead of the storm. Now you have to be a little bit careful with that. And if you're going to get a large rain event before it turns into freezing rain and ice, then it can wash that away. But if you want to put some rock salt out, that will help to be able to break down the ice over time. As it's stepped on, then it releases more and more heat from the reaction and helps to melt some of that away. You can also have some other ways of heating, trying to melt the ice away. There's some products that you have out now that are flame driven, but you have to be careful with the use of those as well. And you know, here a snow shovel in eastern North Carolina, as close to the coastline as we are, would be one of the most unused tools to get, because we might get a true snowstorm every 5, 10, 20 years.
Right, right.
But ice is something that we see on a regular basis. And you know, we also want to make sure we remind people, be careful of the ice. You know, snow is something you can get traction in. Ice is something that, whether it's on the steps or on the roadway, it's very slick and can cause injuries very, very easily. Don't be overconfident. Take your time. If you're having to go out across your steps, make sure you take time. You have hold of a guardrail to be able to hold yourself up. And, you know, everybody loves a good winter storm until you get injured by it.
Right, right. Well, Norman, you know, these are all things, sometimes it sounds like we're telling people the same things over and over again, but there's a reason. We want you safe. We want you to protect your family and to make those best decisions. Again, with any weather event, Onslow County has information provided. Remind folks again how they can look at your website, because you have links to preparation sites and about being ready, so ready.gov. Please just direct us to your website so that we know how to learn more about keeping our families safe.
So if you have information that you're wanting to gather on how to do safety preparation around the home or how to build an all hazards preparation kit, you can go to our Onslow County website under Department of Emergency Services, and under the emergency management section we have links there. Now, we don't try to recreate the wheel. We have links back to other organizations like NC Ready, FEMA.org, or even the Red Cross, that you can go to some of those locations and pull up information. A lot of these lists are very, very similar when you look at them. The one thing that I will say, no matter what their recommendation, if you're trying to build an all hazards kit, we found out from Florence, don't make it for 3 to 5, make it for 7 days.
Make it for 7 days. Well, Mr. Bryson, as always, you are our go-to and in preparedness and readiness and safety, and we thank you for everything that you do for us.
Lisa, I always appreciate being here with you. Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Whitney Jezik with the Onslow County Health Department. Whitney, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Whitney, you and I've spent the last couple of visits talking about COVID and vaccination and back to school vaccinations, but today we're talking about something completely different, as it is February and we want to be heart smart.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about things that we all need to know about heart health. And we're going to start with some stats, because, you know, we hear numbers, but when heart health touches us all personally,
correct,
those numbers mean a little bit more. So please share some stats with us about cardiac health and cardiac care.
And I wore red for our interview today because it's Valentine's Day and it's February. It's a whole month that we get to love people. What's really funny is they've done a study for about 150 years. And I stumbled on this when I was doing my research, which was really made me giggle, because I thought, I want to find something about love and how love changes the heart. It really actually does change the heart. It changes the way it works, the way it functions, the health of it. Because what they discovered in this 150-year study was happily married monogamous couples, I know that's a lot in that one sentence, live longer. They have greater longevity, but they have healthier longevity. And what's really ironic is that married man, his counterpart, is 17 years he's going to live longer than the single guy. And that's a study. I was like, okay, this is really cool. So what's really interesting about that is there's actually reasons, physical reasons why. So the married couple, they usually talk to each other when they come home from work. So they have that emotional support of, so how was your day? And you would tell me how your day was if you were my husband or my wife. So you have that emotional support. Then you might be cooking that meal together. Then you're going to sit down at the table. And what we've learned about couples that are married, it's something about not cohabitating. The study talks about married people. How that transition from driving home from work and having those interactions and having that ability to de-stress yourself, then you sit down and eat at a table, you're less likely to eat more than you should because you're in the middle of a conversation. You know, our mama's always taught us, don't be talking with food in your mouth.
Right.
So, and you're waiting for that loved one's response about whatever you're talking about. And it takes you longer to eat. Therefore, you eat less because your brain and your stomach take a little bit of time to talk to each other. So as you're eating and you're taking your time eating, your stomach has time to tell your brain, hey, we're getting a little full down here.
Well, you know, I think about, again, what you bring to things. So I'm going to be very personal and talk about you, Whitney,
Okay.
who brings love to what you do.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I love public health.
So
I really do love public health.
So when you talk about your littles and making sure that they're well and ready for school, when you talk about your patients who you vaccinated for over a year now for COVID, you bring heart to that.
Thank you.
You bring heart to that. And, you know, having known you a long time, knowing that you bring that to your marriage relationship and to your mothering relationship with your children. So it's about bringing the best of you.
Thank you.
And you can't bring the best of you always if you don't have that work-life balance and if you've not made those decisions. We talk a lot about being caregivers, but if we've not done the diagnostic and we've not done the care here, we can't do the care.
Correct. And women are the worst because we're so busy trying to take care of everyone else. We miss those cues. We really kind of just brush them off. We call it a reason. It really might sound like an excuse to someone else. And we hate to go to the doctor with a list. But let me tell you something. You get your 15 minutes of fame in that doctor's office. And you better come script ready for your debut when you go in there because they don't know you. Most of the time when you go, you don't even see the same provider of care. We're very fortunate at the health department. We have people that we see time and time again for their wellness visits or their family planning visits or their pregnancy visits. We've delivered numerous children in their family, or I've seen some of my little peanuts go off to college. So I mean, those are those things, but so we have some really core, consistent caregivers and givers of care in our group.
Well, this is the time to get that message out, and you've brought it. We've not done that, and it's time. This is a message from you, that 1% opportunity, blessing that you've brought, reminded us to do our diagnostic.
That's right.
To be aware and to take care of one another.
Right. If you got to go to the doctor, do it fearlessly and you can do it afraid because it's better to know than to not know because you might be in one of those, that ambulance back there, going to a hospital because you ignored those little signs and now you're having the big party event.
Well, Whitney, it is always a heart moment when I get to spend time with you. Thank you for the information you've brought us. As always, you all have a fantastic messaging board. You have great programs and a great website. So we'll direct folks to the Onslow County Health Department to learn all this and more. But thanks for your time today and bringing such heart.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. As always, it's a blast.
Thank you as always for joining us for Onslow County today, and a very special thank you to Onslow County Vehicle Maintenance for letting us sort of take over their shop. And thank you to our guest who brought us some terrific information. As we closed out our segment, we talked with Whitney Jezik from the Onslow County Health Department about heart care. As we go into February and this season of love, remember, take care, be safe, and watch out for your neighbors. For Onslow County Today, I'm Lisa Whitman Grice. We'll see you next time.